You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler, this is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back with episode 23.
Episode 23, and a ton to get to this week, as you went and finished your Vegas trip, which was really the first time that you've been in Vegas, when it was actually like a really good kind of Vegas poker trip.
Right, it's like, especially since I was able to play through a bankroll, I felt like I could, there was no stress, really, on, like, because you know how, like, sometimes when you go, if you only have a certain amount of money, you kind of worry about if you go on a downswing on your trip, it could limit your poker. But, you know, through a bankroll, I was able just to be stress-free and just play where and when I wanted.
That's really awesome, because, I mean, yeah, like you say, you can kind of just, it's way less stressful than, you know, just having that set money and, like, checking or whatever and all that. I mean, for us, this is just, you know, it's poker as normal. It's just a lot more of it and a lot nicer casinos.
Right, because I guess, like, every time I've gone before, I've had, like, maybe, like, 2 buy-ins or 3 buy-ins to play at 1-3, and that was it.
Man, that's really, really stressing it.
Right, so I guess we'll start at the beginning, though. So we arrive at the link, and we go to do the check-in thing, right? Like, you know, the little kiosks?
Right.
Every single kiosk was broken.
Oh, God, that's awful. Well, I don't know how many of our listeners know, but, like, so Caesars has these little check-in. You can either wait in the long-ass line to check into a hotel, or they have these little self-serve kiosks where it's like a minute and a half and you get the key. That's pretty horrible that all of them were broken.
So all of them would have you go through the whole thing. You give your ID and do everything, and then at the very end, before it gave you the key, it said to see the person at the front desk.
Oh, that's even worse, because then it teases you the entire time.
And then the problem is you have everybody just kind of standing around because no real line is forming because everyone's just kind of wondering what's going on.
Okay, so that sounds pretty awful for like a check-in. Oh, like a way to check in.
Not only that, so then we paid for early check-in because the flight was arriving early. So it said our room would be ready by 1 for early check-in.
Okay.
So we arrive at 1. They said they can't guarantee the early check-in. We can only guarantee 4 o'clock.
I mean, did you ask them about, like, did you tell them you paid for it?
They said they'd give me like $20 back.
I mean, if I go to a restaurant and I pay $20 for a meal, I want the meal. I don't want you to just give me the money back. I mean, oh, God, what a horrid. That's really bad. Were you able to check in early?
Maybe 3 o'clock.
Oh, God, this sounds like a horrid, hotel, like, experience.
It really was. But, and then the other thing is, so we were traveling with the 2 dogs, too, right? So now I'm in a casino with 2 dogs, nowhere to go with them.
Oh, God.
And then also they said that they had the pet release spot. Yeah, their pet release spot was under construction or something was going on with it. I had to walk all the way to Hera's pet release spot.
God almighty. This is such a bad deal. I don't know. The way the link was treating y'all, I might have just, the pet release spot might have been next to their best slot machine. Which slot machine makes the most money? Okay, let's go take a shit over there, boy.
Yeah, so, but we eventually get squared away, and the first night I said I'm going to go play, right? And I walk out, and it's pretty late, because actually I took a nap, so I woke up because I knew there'd be games going. And I walk out, and it's raining. So I was like, well, I'm going to the first casino I see, and it's straight across to Caesars. So I go over to Caesars, and they only have 1-3 going, and they had a giant list of 2-5, and I believe 1 table of 2-5. So then I got on the 2-5, and then they ended up getting a second table together. I ended up losing like $100 at the 1-3, playing some different hands. I think I had pocket tens on a jack high flop and stuff like that.
Right.
It was a few. I didn't lose $100 on that, but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I get you. Just like the same kind of situations.
Yeah. So, I ended up going over to the 2.5 over there, and so they capped the buy-in at $500 at 2.5.
Okay.
It's kind of weird, right?
I mean, coming from like Texas, where it's all like match the stack. I mean, not all that weird. I mean, 2.5. I think at Aria's I think that I found the 2.5 was a little more than 100 times the blind than like it is 1.3 everywhere in Vegas, but it wasn't that much more. So I don't know. It kind of seems like Caesars doesn't really try to be a high limit room by any means. It seems like so. I don't love it, but at the same token, I find it to kind of go along with Vegas. I don't remember what Aria and everyone else was, but it wasn't that far off.
So, we were playing, and I ended up getting tangled up in a hand where, I mean, you want to talk about just I don't know if I was sleepy or what was going on, but I ended up with a suited jack of clubs, right?
Okay.
So I ended up flopping a flush draw and a straight draw. And what ended up happening was I ended up check raising the turn because I was sitting there thinking in my head, I need an 8 for the straight. I need an 8 or a queen is what I was thinking. The issue was I had jack 8 and I only flopped, or I only turned an 8. So I had a pair plus a straight draw plus a flush draw. And after I had check raised him on the turn, I then forgot that I had lost the $100 at 1-3, which then made my river jam not nearly as much as I was hoping it was going to be. Because in my head I had started with 500.
Well, you check raise the turn on the pair of eights, like a pair of eights, a flush draw, and a straight draw, correct?
So I flopped a flush draw and a straight draw.
Okay, and then turned the 8.
Yeah.
And that's when you check raised him?
Yes.
Okay, so you... Okay, go on from there. I was just making sure I had it right.
So yeah, I had it mixed up in my head though, and then when I jammed all in, the jam was not. I was expecting like 330, but it was like 230, because I was short that $100.
Okay. So how much was in the pot, you think?
Well, 400, because if I had only had 400 to start with and only had like $200 on the end, must have been four. Yeah.
Did you hit the river?
No. So that was my first buy-in. Like I said, it went horribly.
Did you think about just like checking it back? I mean, a half pot size bet seems.
Now, this one went so far off the rails. I had in my head already. I didn't count the money in front of me.
So you were already set on jamming no matter what river.
Well, I said all in. Yeah. And then when the count came out.
Oh, you checked. Okay, you check raised all in on the turn.
No. I check raised, and then on the brick river, I said all in, thinking I had like a pot-sized bet behind.
Okay.
Or close to pot, but no, I did not. So he called. He almost folded, but he just had top pair, top kicker.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of one of those things where he shouldn't even be almost folding. I mean, because obviously this is a draw-heavy board if you flopped a flush draw and a straight draw. I mean, and everything bricks out. I mean, he should not be folding on the river for a half pot-sized bet. I mean, kind of a weird tank right there for him, but I mean, it's Caesars. I mean, I don't think you're getting a lot of high level thought around there.
Yeah, well, I mean, took my money, so that was my first buy-in.
Yeah.
And then I played a really weird hand, which you said you didn't really like how I played it. Whenever I had that suited ace, and it was so multi-way, even though it was like $25 pre-flop, and I flopped a pair and a flush draw.
Okay, the pair was at the ace?
Seven.
Okay. It's, suited ace 7, you flop a pair, and a flush
And
draw.
a flush draw.
Okay. I forget what we discussed about it, so go on.
So I check, and the guy next to me he bets, but he bets small, like 30. And everyone calls, and it gets back to me. Right?
Yeah, I like a call here.
I ended up just barely min-clicking it back, and the whole table called again.
Yeah, I hate that.
I remember.
Yeah.
But I drilled the turn and hit the nut flush.
Well, in that case, it's amazing. I mean, like, here's the thing: is okay. Like, I like the check. I mean, I like obviously you're never folding here. Folding would be the worst possible option. Nut flush draw with a pair of sevens. If you call, you're just giving yourself literally amazing odds when the entire table gets there, and a lot of times there might be another flush draw on board. So I like that, and the showdown value is probably pretty light here since there's so many people there. But or like I don't even mind like the raise, but if it's gonna be a raise and you really know your beat, the only value in the raise is the fold equity, which once you min click it back is zero. I mean, I can't imagine even anybody actually, calling the first bet and then folding the second bet. So, I didn't really care for it, but that being said, when you spike the nuts on the turn, hard to fuck that up.
Right. So then, I ended up betting, and I bet pretty big, like $200, and two people called.
Okay.
And I had won a few hands, so I was a little bit deeper this time. And then the river, so now it's three-handed going to the river, right? Sorry. Four-handed counting myself. So the river pairs the board.
Ooh, dirty river.
And someone open jams.
Open jams for how much?
Yeah, see this is, at first I was kind of like, do I have to fold this? But then I was thinking, well, luckily that min click made the pot gigantic. So he had about 350, 400.
How much do you think the pot was?
It was way too much.
Like 800 or something?
More, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the river, but I'm not folding. I mean, you see people do stupid shit all the time. I'm not folding for a half pot size bet here.
Right. And then, so here's the other thing. So then the guy next to him debates going all in. And then I was like, ooh, I might have to fold maybe. But he ended up making the fold. And then I told the guy, I said, well, I guess here's my money. You got it. Like, here you go. I'm sure you're good. And then the guy to my left ends up folding. And the guy who went all in had a bluff. And I took it down with the ace high flush. And the guy to my left, who was super deep, who stacked me in my missed bluff opportunity, or my bluff and mistake or whatever, he had the king high flush.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that was a big hand for me.
That's gigantic. So on the river, did it come like did it pair the turn? It paired the turn?
The flop.
It paired the flop?
Oh, it paired the 7. Because I had a 7.
Oh, well, that does help a little bit that you have some of the outs for
right.
a boat. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, if someone's got a boat here, they got a boat here. But, I mean, you hate the river, but I guess luckily you did min click it back to make that pot way too big to ever get away from. So, that really worked out pretty well there, I guess.
And then I heard a very interesting story, which I wanted to get your opinion on at the table, right?
Okay.
So remember that new Resorts World?
Right.
So I guess one of the players said that he had played there a few days ago and something happened, right? So I guess what happened was he cashed out, right? And I guess, I don't know if he just didn't count the money or what, right? But he cashed out and he left. When he came back the next day, he was at the table. And the floor came up to him and said, hey, we overpaid you yesterday. You owe us $300. And then took it out of his stack.
Oh, wow.
Right?
I've
never heard of such a thing.
Okay, like, I have never heard of anything like... I have heard of them overpaying and then taking it like out of your stack, not in a poker game, but in like table games. Someone had an issue at another casino. I've never heard it go like on another day though. Like, I mean, that's crazy to me that you would get all the way out, leave the casino, and then they, I don't know, that seems so out there to me. That's a, I mean, I would say it's kind of such an out there story that I kind of believe it, because I mean, like, no, you just wouldn't make this up, I think, right?
Well, I mean, I don't think he would make it up to sound cool. I mean, he just had to give someone $300.
Very true. Man, that, I don't know. I would have I don't know what your recourse is here, but I mean, like, what if they didn't overpay you? I mean, like, it seems like it's a possibility, right? I mean, I don't know. That seems really, really out there to me.
The one thing that the guy did say, which was why he was okay with it, is because he knew how much he thought he cashed out for. And when he handed the girl that much money for chips, she said, "You have an extra $300." So he's like he said, he's sure they did overpay him. Because like he took, like if he cashed out 500 or whatever, he just put it in his wallet.
Right.
And then when he gave it to the chip girl, she was like, "Oh, this is 800, not 500."
Okay. So, well, I mean, in that case, that's okay, I guess. I don't know. It definitely seems weird to me, though, that it would, like, you know, over multiple days. I mean, just kind of take it out of your stack. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the laws work or how any of that goes. So, but I mean, if they overpaid him, I guess it's right that they get the money back. I'm just shocked I've never heard of that before.
And like he said, just think if he had not come back the next day, would have been his money.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that well, I mean, it doesn't sound like he was trying to cheat. It just sounded like he thought that something was off. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's been times where I've had a couple drinks playing poker, and if someone gives me a little bit of extra money, I mean, I'm not gonna try to cheat anybody, but I might think that it's my mistake, and I did cash out for more than I thought. So I don't know. This whole situation is a lot of ifs, ands, and buts. It seems like.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting story. I mean, the only time, well, actually, I've had two situations where I've gone to the cage. One time I gave him, I bought him for 500, and I watched him give me the chips, and I knew he had given me too much. And it was the person's first day it was at Johnny Chan's, right? Okay. I had never seen him, and I told him 500, and I saw clearly it was not 500, it was 600, right?
Right.
So before he handed it to me, I told him to stop, and I counted it for him. I said, "Look, 1, 2, 3, then that's 4, 5, 6. So you have, you're gonna lose $100." So he was pretty thankful there, right?
That's a really good thing. Yeah, good job.
Well, and also I hear that they are the ones who have to put the money back, stuff like that. Like it comes out of there. I mean, I don't know. I was like, I'm definitely not trying to steal $100 on someone's mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and then another time, apparently, I gave her the 500, and then they didn't give me the full 500, and then someone came and found me and gave me the rest of the money because I was in the middle of a hand when I got the money, so I didn't get to count it.
Right.
But I guess they had shorted me, and they came in and brought me the right amount back. So I've kind of been on both ends of it.
Yeah, which, I mean, it sounds like they did the right thing and you did the right thing on both ends. I know there was one time in College Station where they didn't, like when I bought in, they didn't give me the right amount. But I mean, I always double check it like almost right immediately. So I was like, oh, this is not right, and they corrected it very quickly. So I mean, it was a place that had just opened, and people were new, so they just weren't used to it.
That was my thing, especially if you're there all the time and it's someone you don't recognize. Yeah, it's probably just
I mean, as long as they correct it. I mean, to me, there's never like a reason to be an asshole about anything, because I mean, shit, we've all made mistakes at some point.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was an interesting story at Caesars, and then I saw an interesting hand where on a jack high flop, two guys end up going all in, right? And the board ran out, I believe it was 10-9, and one guy, so the first guy shows pocket kings all in, because they got all the money on the flop, right?
Right.
The other guy had gone runner to the nuts straight. He called him with king queen
when no 10 on board.
Nothing. And it was for a lot of money because, I mean, the 2.5 game starts off at 500 each, but I mean, people have been rebuying a ton, right?
Right. Poker seems very low. I mean, I don't know. Like, the whole poker's dead. Not at the lower limits. Absolutely not.
Right. Well, I mean, this was the 2.5. I mean...
Well, I mean, I still consider...
Yeah.
I mean, 2.5 is one up from the lowest limit. So.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So, but here was the interesting part, right?
Right.
So, the guy, I'm like, man, he's handling this great. You know, that guy went runner to the nuts straight.
The one with Pocket Kings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't realize that the guy had called him with King Queen. He only thought he had Pocket Queens. Oh, man. When he realized it, he about fell out of the chair, man. He was freaking out, yelling. I was like, that makes more sense there. I was like, at first, like, this guy's handling this bad beat phenomenally. I was like, I don't even think I could handle it that well. And then when the dealer was taking his chips, he goes, hey, bring him over here. I won. And he's like, you didn't win. He has King Queen for the runner straight. And man, that guy lost his mind.
I mean, like, this is, like, you should never, like, lose your mind. But I tell you what, someone calling with absolutely nothing for a gigantic amount and hits runner straight. If you're ever going to justify it, that might be the time.
Well, talk about a roller coaster of emotions, though, right? You go from thinking that you had just won this gigantic pot to being almost felted.
Yeah, no kidding. It had to be. I mean, I will say that's a pretty tough beat. So I don't know. Hard to fault this guy, but I mean, in the long run, you want calls like that, but in that short run, I can see how that's going to really tear you up.
So I ended up, losing like, because I'd run it back for a bit. So then I ended up losing like 700 there.
700 at Caesars in total?
Yeah, on the 2 bullets. So
what do you think about the games in general at Caesars?
I didn't like the short blinds, on being capped at 500.
Yeah.
I felt like it kind of made certain things kind of tough. Like river bluffing. I mean, if you only start off with $500, it's kind of hard to set up any sort of bluff.
That's true. Yeah,
especially multi-way. I mean,
that's Caesars is one of the, like, I kind of like the poker room. It's like kind of open, but it gets so the thing about Caesars, I will say, is it gives the most tier points of all the Caesars casinos. So especially it gives even more for 2.5, I think. So you actually probably racked up some points there. But games, because it does that, can get pretty nitty. So I was like, I don't really usually love them. And then I've had a couple sessions where it just went crazy. So I was just wondering what you thought about the games in general for there.
Well, that was actually the first game I played in a while where actually we had a pretty fun table and we had like a bunch of people talking. But it was like one side of the table was like me, that guy who had got runner, and then some other guy were talking. And then the left side were just a bunch of people like just nut peddling, kings, ace, king, aces. So we would play big pots on this side, but anytime one of them came in, they always had like aces or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that usually I get that left side table where they're nut peddling, except it's like 8 people and like me and maybe another guy. So that's usually my table at Caesars that I've normally had.
So, but it was a pretty fun table, and then those 2 guys left, and then it was just me, and then I had a bluff where like there's no worse feeling when you try to bluff somebody off and like what type of hand they're gonna have there and they still make the call.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Like if you're just trying to bluff somebody off of ace rag, whenever the flush gets there and the straight gets there on the river, and you bet and they still call with ace 6 offsuit.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is why it took forever for me to really start having bluffs at lower limits. Was I would see this over and over again. But yeah, it's super annoying when you make the correct bluff that they should almost never call. But to a degree, isn't that on the person who's bluffing too? Because if it's a player that's incapable of folding top pair, I mean, that's kind of a bad read as well, right?
Yeah, apparently. So
Tyler's like guaranteed on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's certain players who just aren't going to fold top pair.
But there's also, sometimes, especially in those games, you don't really get to see a lot of people turn their cards over. So you don't really
Yeah.
know what they're calling down with a lot of the time. And then all of a sudden they turn that over. I'm like, oh, God. If I would have seen that ahead of time, I would have never made the move.
That's true. I mean, if it's only within an hour or 2 hours, you're only going to see them play so many hands.
Right.
So, I mean, if you think it's the type of player that might fold it, you probably haven't seen them play that many hands, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's when I ended up leaving the Caesars, right? Caesars Casino.
Not a stellar way to begin the Vegas trip, but...
Definitely not.
I mean, shithole experience trying to check in and then, getting killed on some tough hands in Caesars.
So then I decided I'm going to go to Bellagio. But I'm going to play 5-10, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I got killed at 1-3. So I decide, and then 2-5. So I figured I'm going to keep going up until I win.
Well, no, I figured what was holding me back was the buy-in. See, I didn't have enough money to bluff, so I needed to raise the stakes.
Tyler's like, if I lose at 5-10, I'm going to go to the Poker Go Studios at Aria and see if I can get on Poker After Dark. Okay, so Bellagio 5-10, right?
Yes. And, okay, right. So I'm trying to think of this session, right? So I ended up buying in, and we started a new table. And I was expecting like a bunch of like really, really good players. And it seemed very much like any other table. There was, I mean, as always, there's some really good players. But then there's a lot of people there who are just there to have fun, who are there for business conferences and, just there to gamble and don't really care.
See, I found this probably, was you were just talking to me like during the trip, the most probably interesting part of the trip. Because I've never played 5-10. So I didn't know what to expect on there. And I just figured, like you said, like when you went there, that, you would just be up against just stellar competition.
And, that's what I was expecting. But, you're seeing limps. You're seeing people limp. You're seeing, like, some golf pros show up and they just want to limp and see flops. And then you're seeing people turn over 5-7 offsuit. Ace-3 offsuit.
God, that's great. Just for poker in general, that you are seeing this. Do you say you're seeing golf pros?
Yes.
Did you see a golf pro?
He said there's a golf pro.
Okay.
Again, doesn't seem like a thing to lie about because he wasn't getting any poker cred. So.
Well, that's true. I was wondering who it was, but okay. That'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, that's really awesome that you kind of saw all these mistakes at such a high level. I guess we see the vlogs where we're like, oh God, how in the world that happens at like Mariano's 5-10 table and stuff. But you just always feel like that's like 1 out of like 50 hands. So for you to say that you were seeing this kind of on the common, that's just great for poker in general.
And by all means, there were some players who were there who were very good, right?
Right.
But there was enough mixed in there to where it definitely seemed like a great game to be at.
Okay, so it definitely feels like you could be profitable in the long run at 5-10.
In that specific game, yes.
Okay.
So I'm playing, right, and I ended up... I tried hero calling some guy down, and he had the absolute nut. It was great. So, I was like, this is him bluffing. He wasn't bluffing. Yeah. Actually, I'm not even going to tell you the details of the hand, because it was such... Yeah. So what ended up happening? So then on my next hand, I rebuy, right? And I get.
Did you show down when you tried to hero call and you had the nuts?
No, I just did the noise in my. I was like, ugh. It just threw my cards in the muck.
I was like, get rid of those real quick.
Yeah, I was
like, just act all exasperated. Second nuts, never good.
No, what's it called? It was one of those ones where, like, instead of flicking them into the muck, I made sure to slide them so they don't get flipped over. I'm like, ooh, we got to place these in the muck because if those actually get overturned,
whatever credibility I have will be shot.
Yeah, exactly. So the very next hand, and okay, so let me give you some backstory for this hand. So we're using the stacks, but they're, you know how when we normally play 1-3 or 2-5, they're the red chips and they're $5, right?
Right.
So every stack of 20 is 100. So in my head, I was like, oh, well, all I have to do is just think of it as fives, and I could then know how much to bet in my head. Is what I was thinking, because kind of the bet sizing was kind of throwing me off, you know?
Right.
Because it was my first time there and first time playing at this stake. So I raise big, not big. I open with pocket kings. I only have chips yet, right? I make it. I made it 20, 25. Sorry, I made it 25.
Wait, you're at 510?
Yeah,
25 seems like such a weird raise there.
I remember this hand went so far off the rails. What did I make it? Oh man, I'm trying to. Well,
what is with you and mid clicks? Stress.
I'm trying to think. Well, no, because I remember it went so far off the rails. This hand.
Okay. I would have thought you'd at least made it 30, right?
I must have made it 30.
I can't imagine you ever making this 25.
Yeah, no, it must have been 30, right? No, well, okay.
Okay, 25. Okay, you made it 25. Gotcha.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go 25, right? And so then the guy next to me tries to call, but then accidentally raises, right?
Okay.
So then he min clicks it back, right?
Okay.
So then everyone calls, and then in my head, I was gonna say 185, but all I said was 85, and the dealer's like, "What is going on?" So then I almost min clicked it back to him again, and then the whole table's like, "What is happening?" So then I had min clicked it back, well, almost min clicked it back. So then the bet was, it was a 4 bet, but it was only $85, and the guy and everyone's like, "What is happening?" So everyone calls, right?
Oh, a very hell of a time to misspeak.
yeah, and I was like, "Ooh, that's not what I meant." And I was like, "That's not gonna fly." So I was just like, well, yeah, like I said, this one went off the rails.
Definitely sounds like it.
Yeah, because I like, now that you said it, yeah, 25 makes no sense. And then he min clicked it, then I min clicked it back, but this is going multi-way, right? The flop comes queen high rainbow, like queen 3-6 rainbow. So
I mean,
I'm
on
like,
the good side, that's a great flop for kings.
So I'm like, all right, it's time to start making some real bets now, right? So I bet like 120.
120?
sorry.
Are you? I mean, are you just? I mean, is mom kid camera or something?
sorry, 220. I bet 220. And the guy called, right?
Right.
Everyone else folds. Sorry.
Okay.
220. Because in my head, I'm still thinking it was one stack of 20.
Right.
Plus something, but 220.
Okay. I can get behind 220. It was 85 to go. The entire table calls. I'm going to make a large bet of 1/8 pot.
No, okay, sorry. So now it's heads up between me and the guy on my left, right? Who had originally raised it on accident and called, right?
Okay.
And the turn is a brick, but it brings in obviously like a spade draw, right?
Right.
So then now I bet like 400, and he called. And then on the river was a blank. I jam for the rest of the money, right? And he calls with ace queen, and I
I
double
was
up.
about to say, this sounds like ace queen all day.
Yeah, and I doubled up, and he's like, "I shouldn't have made that call." And I was like, "Well, okay."
I mean,
But talk about it going off the rails.
yeah, that's yeah, that definitely. Well, I mean, on his side, he has to call here because you can never have kings because you made it 85 pre-flop. So, I mean, in all honesty, another screw up that kind of worked in your favor, actually, right?
Oh, 100%. If I would have played it correctly, I wouldn't have made as much money as I did. But you want to talk about getting no credit at any of your bets after that.
I don't know. I mean, now you can min raise and they got to put you on the nuts. I mean, maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was interesting. And so I ended up squeaking out. Well, actually, I ended up not squeaking out. I ended up making a pretty good profit of like $2,600.
Oh, that's nice. It's always nice, like when you start out like with a losing session, to just come back and crush it and be positive.
I mean, there are some other hands where like whenever you hit the flush or whatever, and just get paid, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not exactly the most skillful, but still good.
It's yeah. Oh. I mean, those count. I mean, the money counts the exact same. So, it's
All right. So now I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the Bellagio the next day, right? I'm like, that was great. Super profitable game. I'm loving it. So I end up going back the next day. I go to the 2-5 table, get my teeth kicked in, get called to the 5-10. I was like, thank God. So then I leave. I was like, these guys are beating me up. So I leave, go to the 5-10 table. I remember I tried putting in a bluff. I remember you and I talked about this hand, wherever it was. So I had played against this guy, and then he would raise pre-flop and then bet small on the flop. Like, he would 3-bet to, like, 150, right? And then bet, like, 30 on the flop. And whenever he did this the first time, he had pocket queens on a king-high flop, right? But it was a draw-heavy board, so if you get raised, you know to fold. Right?
okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll keep a mental note of that. And he did the exact same thing with me on a board that was 8-7 queen, right? And he raised pre-flop, I called, and it's heads up, and he bet small on the flop. So I check raise him pretty big, right?
Well, especially I like this even more on that board, because if he 3-bets, it's unlikely, unless he has a complete set of queens, that he would want to bet small and kind of a dangerous board.
Right. So I check raise expecting a fold.
Right.
I got a call.
That's even more confusing, actually, because I would think, like, aces or kings or ace-queen would bet more, but a set of queens would never just call there. So, kind of, I don't know, this hand's already kind of confusing, but go ahead.
The turn paired one of the undercards, and then I bet big, and he still called. So I was like, ugh, this is going to take all my might to get him off this hand. The river brought an ace. I jammed, he tanked, ended up calling with ace queen. So that was one of the buy-ins that went sideways. And then I had lost another one, a different buy-in that went sideways. Like, I think I ended up calling with, I think I had 2 pair to a lesser 2 pair, something like that. Okay. And so I'm on the third buy-in, right?
Right.
I remember I told you about this hand, and things were not going my way at all. I had ace king. Oh, that was it. I had ace king. I had lost the flip versus king queen.
Oh, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. That was the second buy-in. So then I get ace king again, but I get ace king with the ace of diamonds, right?
Okay.
The flop comes 2 diamonds and
how many to the flop? Because I know
3.
you play this pretty vigorous. Okay, gotcha.
3. I had raised I had 3-bet, got 2 callers.
Okay.
So then I bet 100. I get raised, right? The next guy calls the raise.
Wait, what was the flop again?
Jack high with 2 diamonds.
Jack high, 2 diamonds, and you have the ace of diamonds, but no king of diamonds.
No king of diamonds.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I'm sitting there looking. I'm like, well, I only have $600 more, and I've already 3-bet this hand, been raised, call, and I was like, I don't have any more money, and I don't want to rebuy. And I was like, well, this is about going to be this is how I'm going out, I guess. I'm all in. I rip it in, another $600, right? Horrible play, but that's what happened.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's
like,
not.
Man. Oh, God.
Yeah. So I rip it in, right? And I'm like, well, time to go. So I get up, get ready to start leaving. Then the next guy goes all in behind me for like $3,000.
You can go ahead and leave.
Yeah. And, what's it called? Then the next guy folds, so he loses his $300 or whatever, right?
Right.
And so that was a pretty big pot, though.
Oh, gigantic pot.
Yeah. So that was good. I asked him, I said, do you have like a set or something? Because I was like, maybe my ace and king might be good. He's like, no, I don't have a set. And I was like, hey, maybe I'm live. Turns a diamond. He's like, now I have a flush. River's a diamond.
Oh my god.
I tell him,
You runner, flush.
I tell him, sorry, but I got you. I tell him, I'm horrible. I just can't help it. There's nothing I can do. I can't resist. So then I caught fire, right?
Okay.
That table broke after that. That hand table broke. So
I can see it.
Yeah, so I moved tables, right? And just, I mean, absolutely catch fire, right? And I'm like, man, how much money do we even have in this stack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then here was an interesting spot for you. I have one guy on my left who is just 3-betting me nonstop, right?
Okay.
And so this was pretty early in the session. I had king queen of spades, and he'd been 3-betting me. I've been folding, all right. And then he finally 3-bets me again. I said, you know what? I just can't have this anymore. You know?
Right.
Just can't have this anymore. So he 3-bets, I call, and the flop comes all low cards in a rainbow, like 7-6-2 rainbow.
Okay.
I check it over to him. He bet 700. Right? Or no, sorry, 400. He had 3-bet it to 300 pre-flop, and then he bet like 400, 450, right?
Right.
So I no, I'm not going to stand for this. So I rip it all in on him. Right? And nothing but king high. And he ends up making the fold reluctantly. And then I show him the bluff, and the table loses their mind. You know?
Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome.
So then, same player, right? Later on that session, it's kind of winding down toward the end of the night. I have ace-6 of spades. He 3-bets me. Here we go. I already know he wants to bluff me and whatever, get me back. Maybe something like that, or he's just annoyed with me, right?
Right.
Because I'm the only person combating his 3-bets and stuff.
All right.
Because before I got there, every time he 3-bet, everyone would fold. I would fold. Everyone would fold. He'd just take down the blind. Or not the blind, the original bet. He was squeezing a lot.
Yeah.
So I call. It's heads up as always, me and this guy. He had made it 300 to go. I called. The flop comes ace-6-6 for the flopped boat.
Oh my god, you luck box.
So I check it over to him. He bets. But this time he bets like 200. I do the fake like I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I call. Okay, fine. On the turn, obviously doesn't change anything for me. And I check it over to him again. He doesn't disappoint. He bets like 400, 425. I think. Fine, I'll call. Sure.
No, I was wondering if you're going to go over the top on that one.
And then on the river, I check it over to him again. Risking it, right?
Right.
That he checks us through. Doesn't disappoint. He bets 850. And then I rip it in over the top.
Oh, wow. Well played.
And then he folds. He folds for about, I don't remember how much more it was, but it was not enough. He had to have been bluffing, right? For it to for him to fold for the all in, given the pot. And he folded and he packed up his stuff and left the next hand.
Wow, that's really nice. You didn't show your ace-6, did you?
No.
Yeah, it's a.
But once he left, someone had asked me about it. One of the VIPs, as Ben Deach would say,
Okay.
was asking me about it, and I told him, I said, "Oh no, I flopped him dead," and he said, "Oh, well played."
Yeah, that was. I mean, the way you played it, I think I played it the same exact way. The only difference is, and I think you got a lot more value here than I would have, was I think normally in this, I'm scared of losing value from like an ace on the river, so I might donk lead that river. But it looks like he was bluffing, so it seems like you got way more value than I would have there.
So then it got kind of late, right? And I was kind of card dead. we ended up going down to like four-handed for a while, but whenever I switched table, they had made it 5, 10, 20.
Oh God.
So we're still doing 5, 10, 20, but now it's short-handed, right?
That's a big game. Well, I mean, when it's 3 blinds and out of 4 people, I mean, talk about you're either going to win a lot or lose a lot.
That you're right about. So, here's a pretty noteworthy hand for you. So I have a suited ace, and somebody put on the quadruple straddle or something.
Okay.
So it was 8. So what was it? So it was 5, 10, 20. So we still had 6 people. It was 5, 10, 20, and he put on the 80. Right? 5, 10, 20, 40, 80.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So then it goes to me, right? And I have a suited ace here with all this dead money. So I raise it up to like 250.
Okay, I like this.
Some guy jams for like 500 more. 500 total. 500 total. And then another guy calls. So I'm like, well, now I have to call.
Yeah, I agree.
And I completely brick it out, and 5, 6 of hearts ends up taking it down with a rivered flush. That was kind of a noteworthy hand. But now these are the two, and now I'm like, all right, I'm about back to even. That's pretty nice from being in for 3,000, right?
Okay.
So now it's getting later and later, and I'm like, I really should just kind of book this, few like $200 profit and call it good, right?
Right.
And I was telling the guy, I was like, because it was basically me and this one other guy were, battling back and forth, and I told myself, well, I'm probably gonna go. It's like 4 a.m. I should probably start getting ready to head out.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he's like, I'm probably gonna head out kind of soon too. Then everything changes, right?
Oh God.
This girl comes and sits down, or she had sat down. She already heard me kind of right after I said I was gonna leave, and then she sat down, so she didn't hear that.
Mm-hmm.
I have 10-8 offsuit, right, and it's four-handed, and she 3-bet, and I call.
I mean, with it being four-handed, I don't mind this.
You're gonna like the flop. I mean, it was 7. What I have? I had 10-8, so it was 7, 9, ace.
7, 9. Oh, wow. Okay, really nice.
So I flop open ended, and there's a flush draw.
You have the flush draw?
No. But there is a flush draw on board.
Okay, it makes not as good, but really, in all honesty, unlikely she has the exact suit of the flush draw.
Right. So then she bets pretty big, right? She had bet like 60, and then she bet like probably 40, right? I call.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, I could see an argument for raising or calling here, but I like the call.
Drill the 6.
Oh God! So now you have the flat out nuts.
But the board is heart, diamond.
Okay.
She bets pretty big, like 300. I raised to like 900.
Ooh, I think you should have got even more. Well, I don't know. That's probably fine.
She re-raises all in.
Okay, never mind. I like that 900 raise. Like that.
I call and I cover her. River is completes one of the flushes. And I'm like, ugh, that's not great. She had flopped a set of aces. She had pocket aces.
Oh my God.
She needed the board to pair. She didn't need the flush. But I understand why she would raise it all in when it's heart, diamond. Makes perfect sense how she played it. Made perfect sense how I played it, having to re-raise her turn bet.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I tell you what, the way I called this hand, wrong on every street. Because I was like, well, 8-10 four-handed on the 3-bet. I'm like, I can kind of understand this. And then, like, on the flop, I'm like, I can see justification for a raise. I guess what? No fold equity when she flopped the absolute nuts.
Yeah. So then we end up battling. So I'm like, now I just doubled up through her, right?
Right.
And I mean, this is the guy who've been battling back and forth. I have pocket kings. He rips it in on me all in pre-flop. I snap call. He doesn't even show. Board runs out. River's an ace. I'm still good. Felt him. He buys in again.
He ripped it like, okay, was it like a raise all in? I mean, I can't imagine it was like 5-10, and he just, okay, I'm all in for $2,000. I mean, right?
I 3-bet him, and he 4-bet me all in.
Okay, I got you.
Still a gigantic raise, because my 4-bet was like $400.
And how much did you rip it in for?
Probably like 16 or 1700.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, so I call and I'm good. And then,
But, I mean, like, okay, y'all are 4 or 5-handed, right?
yeah.
I mean, you really can't be folding queens here, or... Well, I don't know what else he could have had, because obviously he didn't have ace-king.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean... Yeah, I guess he could fold 8. I don't know. That's a weird hand.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I would assume, like, maybe queens.
I was thinking queens or jacks, but...
Yeah.
So then he rebought again. I had pocket 4s, flopped a set of 4s, and he ripped it in on me again.
Oh, God.
And I called and I'm good. Right? And then this other guy shows up. This guy who shows up and he's like, I don't know if he's drunk or what, but he shows up and he's like, I can't believe you guys care about this money this much. I'm all in. $1,500 all in. Everyone folds.
Wow.
He shows Jack 7 offsuit for Jack high. Next hand comes, you guys really care about this money? I'm all in again. And he shows like 3-5 offsuit for 5 high.
Oh,
Right?
man.
And then someone calls him and felts him. And he's like, give me more chips. I need more chips. I'm all in before the chips get here. And he gets felted again. He's like, more chips. I need more chips. He just kept going. And he was like, I'm going to slow down for a bit. But he just kept.
He's like, now I care. Now I care about the money after 5 buy-ins.
Well, he was saying, none of you guys are going to call me. No one's playing with me. So what do I have to do to get action? I was like, wow, maybe don't rip in $1,500 before we see any cards. You know?
I mean, kind of, yeah. Well, I mean, but that being said, I mean, if he's doing that, shouldn't you be calling this with like ace high? Like ace 5 or something?
Well, if you know ahead of time, but the first
Yeah, that's
time
true.
he rips it all in.
He actually had looked at his cards.
Right, it was at
So-
the end of the hand, and he went all in on the river
I got you.
and turned over nothing, and then ahead of time went all in and then turned over nothing.
Yeah.
And then he started playing more reasonable. And then I took down a pretty big pot off of him where I had pocket 10s, and the river was a jack, and I was like, oh, God. And I was like, if he has a jack, it's going to be annoying. But he had a pair of 9s.
Oh, okay. Well, not bad at all.
And then what got rid of one of those players was he had, what's it called? So at the 5-10, 5-handed, right? 3 players end up all in. It's pocket aces versus pocket queens all in.
Oh, gosh.
Pre-flop, and the aces obviously hold. So, but that was yeah. I mean, that was that session. It ended up actually being my biggest session. So I went from being in for 3,000 for cashing out for 6,153 for $3,150 profit.
Wow, what a great start to the trip.
And I was like, what's it called? What a grace of God, letting the runner diamonds come. Because not only did I not lose 3,000, now I made 3,000.
Yeah, no kidding. That's real. I mean, yeah, that one hand really like saved everything. And I mean, granted, you caught fire after that, but who knows if you're even playing after that?
Oh, I'm not. If
Yeah.
I don't hit it, I had no more money in my pocket.
Oh
So
God.
I 100% wasn't playing anymore.
So not only did you not lose that hand, but yeah, you led you winning all the other hands.
Exactly, because I mean, like we always say, well, I'll normally only show up with 3 bullets. I mean, if I'm in for 4, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you and me are about the same way. Like, and not that I understand, like, it really doesn't matter in the long run of all that, but if I bust out 3 bullets, one is that 4th bullet, I'm not going to be playing my best game.
Right.
So I feel like there's no need to ever be playing it.
All right, that concludes this week of the Texas Poker Podcast. Next week, we'll talk about another 5-10 session at the Bellagio. And I even go up and to play 5-10-20 at the Wynn. We'll see you guys next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.